Thank you all for being here today. Last night, just after 10 p.m., 2 officers were killed in the line of duty, along with a pedestrian who died. The officer who died was James Muhlbauer, a 20-year veteran of the department. His partner, K-9 Officer Champ, also died. Champ was with KCPD for 1 year. The officers were serving and protecting this city. They were putting themselves in harm's way. They were being public servants the city needs. And in a moment, we lost them. Our department is hurting. We're sad, and we're shaken. But this pales in comparison to what Officer Muhlbauer's family is going through. He was married and a loving father. Officers in our K-9 unit live with their dogs. They are partners, yes, but our K-9 are also our family members. Please pray for the Muhlbauer family. They need strength and love, and this department, while grieving, we will give them both. We will support Officer Muhlbauer's family, and we will be there for them. I ask and urge that you give their family privacy. There's a second family also hurting, belonging to the pedestrian who died. Please pray for them as well. I would like to thank everyone, fellow law enforcement agencies and elected officials included, for their condolences. We see them and we appreciate them. Specifically, I would like to thank all KCPD officers who responded to the scene last night and those who went to the hospital in support, as well as other outside agencies. I specifically thank the North Kansas City Police Department, who transported Officer Champ to the hospital to reunite him with Officer Muhlbauer. Together, both Officer Muhlbauer and K-9 Champ were given a hero's escort. We are working on funeral arrangements, and we will share them when they're ready. The fatality crash is under investigation, including the possibility of impaired driving by the driver of the striking vehicle. After the investigation is completed, the case will be submitted to the prosecutor's office for review. I can take any questions if anyone has any.
Chief, is the driver of this vehicle still being held in police custody at this time, and do you anticipate that there's going to be a decision about charging within the next 24 hours or so?
Yes, he still is in custody, and this is one of those types of cases that it could take more than 24 hours, but we are working as quickly as we can to put something together for presentation. But we want to make sure that when we do present that case, it is a case that is the most successful for prosecution.
Could you please spell Officer James' first and last name?
Sure. James, J-A-M-E-S, Muhlbauer, M-U-H-L-B-A-U-E-R.
I know you're still investigating the accident and what caused the driver to hit the officer, but do you think this is a pattern of a larger pattern of impaired driving that happened yesterday?
That part specifically is under investigation, but you know, when you look at stats for fatality accidents, you know, I want to say a large percentage of those killed in car accidents weren't wearing. This is aside from this conversation. You know, there are factors. There's not wearing a seatbelt. There's under the influence. There's all of these factors that are usually involved in fatality accidents.
Chief, is there anything you can share with us about the pedestrian that is killed? You didn't mention the name or anything. Can you tell us anything about that person?
We have, once we make the proper notifications to next of kin, we will release his name, but he is a male in his 50s.
Can you tell us anything more about the person that you're holding in custody? Is it just one? It's one person, I assume?
It's one person, a male.
A male?
Mm-hmm.
Age range? Anything you can say about that?
I just want to hold on that if I could, please. Thank you, Mayor.
Can you go more in depth, Stacy, about what kind of person Mr. Muhlbauer was?
I didn't hear that.
Can you go more into depth about what kind of person James Muhlbauer was?
Yes. James Muhlbauer, Jim, was a 20-year veteran of KCPD. He spent his entire career in patrol, serving, protecting, responding to emergency calls for service, including the last 3 years in the K-9 unit. He was a loving husband and a devoted father to a child who lost his best friend last night.
How old is
Um,
officer's
I'm,
child?
we're not ready to talk about that yet. I'm sorry. You have any other questions?
Any more details about the pedestrian that was hit? Do you guys know where he was walking to, or was he even walking?
I didn't hear that last part. I believe he was stationary in and around that intersection. All of that, whenever we have a serious accident like this, there is a reconstruction that is done with measurements that take some time, and further information can be released at that time.
You mentioned that the person you're holding, there might potentially be evidence of impaired driving. Do we know whether that might be alcohol or some other type of drug, or are you prepared to say at this point?
That's still under investigation. Literally, that's still under investigation right now.
How are your officers doing, and is there more help for them at this time?
It was rough last night. Our officers are hurting. They're shaken. They're upset, obviously. I can tell you that last night, the bond and the camaraderie of our K-9 officers was something to be seen. It was really something special to see them come together the way that they did. And they wanted to ensure that Champ and Jim were physically transported together for their hero's escort.
Can you explain the connection that an officer shares with his K-9?
Yes, our canines, I mean, that's their life on duty and off. You live with your dog, your family lives with your partner. You train every day. Sleep and live with your partner. They're more than just a dog. They are truly the best partners we can have.
Chief, I know there's a lot of details you probably can't share about the investigation, but it appears there's an intersection right there that has a stoplight. Do we know if the officer was stopped at that intersection, and whether it was mobile, whether maybe the driver ran a red light, or do you know any of that at this point?
That's all under investigation, but from preliminarily, this was not on the fault of the officer. Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody else? Thank you all.
I wonder if the mayor,
Sure.
I mean, obviously, sir, this is a terrible loss, not just for KCPD, but for our entire community, because we're talking about, two public servants that were out there, trying to protect our community, and this is obviously a tough day for everybody, not just the police officers, correct?
I think the chief speaks for the entire city, and she said it well about how everyone is hurting. It has been a challenging past week, frankly. We had an officer who was shot several days ago. We had all of our officers involved in a very significant, substantial operation yesterday. And then you had this occurrence last evening, this tragedy. So we all grieve with the Kansas City Police Department, the women and men of the department. We grieve certainly with the officer's family and the entire city, and I would imagine the entire region or our state. Give our sympathies both to Officer Muhlbauer and his family, but certainly to all of our officers at KCPD.
Gene, could you talk about the priority that this will take once you get the case? I know you don't have it yet, but what would be involved with that?
We look for many things in all cases in investigations. We want a complete investigation. These cases are sometimes a little bit more intensive in what it takes, the time that it takes to kind of get through the material that's needed to make a solid case here, but we're doing that. We're doing it in conjunction, of course, with KCPD. So I think, we'll be able to present something, at the right time on that. I will say that my office knew this officer. We knew him because he served in such an important role for us on the Brandon Howe case. He was actually the officer that made the arrest of Brandon Howe those years ago. heroically. So it is, it's a shared heavy heart for all of us this morning.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate it. Please keep them in your prayers.